Hey everybody, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. Today we jump back in the Kombi again. We're going to get this roof welded up. We're going to hopefully get it hinged and a bunch of other stuff. So let me take you up to the top. Let me recap on where we left off and jump straight into it. Let's go. Okay, I've done a little bit more because it was just really fiddly. So I bent those pieces up as you saw, put them on the roof, adjusted them quite a lot. I'll take you down to the vise in a second and I'll show you how I did it. But the sand made such a difference. So there was no kinking, unless you're into that thing, but it all went really well. So there was no like funny bits, no edges come up or anything else. So I did a little bit further than I thought, just because I showed you the first bends. I got up on the roof and did a few bits and pieces. And so I have now completed all of it. So we have all the bends, and this is the extra piece that I have done. So I got the one piece, 2 meters got me from here to here. So if I'd probably got a 4 meter length, I probably could have done it all in one go, but it's not what I had available at the time. So I just got two 2 meter lengths. So yeah, it looks really nice. So lining it up, it sits there nicely. It doesn't kink anywhere. In saying that, once I weld it, it is gonna probably kink and move around. So I'm gonna mark it now and I'll cut it, tack it together, we'll put it back up here and see how it looks. But I've also been just going over a few bits and pieces on how I think I'm gonna secure it to make sure the hinge works and that kind of stuff. So I'm thinking along this edge, I'm gonna probably make a little aluminium flashing that sits around there that like bolts to the roof, which then gives me a little bit more structure. I'll have it go in under here, which then I can then bolt the hinges through, so that way this piece can go up and down and hinge the way I need it to. But for now, it's looking pretty good, and we'll play on that bit next. But let's jump down to the vise. I'll show you how I ended up adjusting these bits a little bit nicer, and then we'll get into cutting these two pieces and tacking it together. Okay, here we go guys. So I have the extra corner that I made. I've now trimmed it all up, so it's all pretty much ready to go to get welded. But I wanted to show you what I did. So originally, as you would have seen, on the other corners actually, that I bent this up like this. And then, as you can tell, on these edges, it is a little extra bent. So it's just conformed to the rest of the roof. And the way I did that was, I've also bent it this way as well as that way to get everything to sit on the roof nicely. And so to do that, I use the vise. I'll use this piece because it's nice and easy. But what I did was take it up to the roof. You can see, I think I've cleaned them off. But what I did is I put it on the roof and it would come up at this angle because it was just bent at a perfect 90 degrees or close enough to. And so where it was touching, I would put a bend there because that's kind of where I need to start the new bend. And then I would come in here, I would put it in like this, and I had 2 pieces of wood to cover around the edges. But then what I did, I'd put it in here and have just the mark that I had where I needed to start bending in here, tighten the vise up and then bend it. And then that way with the sand on the inside, it would then hold its form without it crunching, and then I could just bend it. And then to then do a little bit more, and so on and so forth. I did find that a lot of my first bends were way too strong, which then I would come in here with the vise and then just crush it back. Like just bend it back a little bit straighter, and that way it would spring back a little bit, but you could also make it a nicer curve by doing that. So if I bent it really hard and then put it back, say this was the middle of where my mark was, which is where I had it here, I would then put it in here and then just crush it back a little bit, wind it in, not like all the way in, but just a little bit, let it back out. It would spring back a little bit, but it would just open this curve up a little bit nicer. And so I did that on all the corners. I felt like it just took ages because you would take it up onto the roof and you'd move in and out, and then just trying to get it nice. But which is why I didn't film it, because the amount of times you would want me to stand here by the vise, bend something, jump back in there, come back in here, just be a lot of chopping and changing, and you would really only see the back of me, probably the better side, but it wasn't worth just filming it all because I feel like I can explain it better to you guys now. So that's what I did. It takes a little bit of time and just working out which way is the best way to do it, but I just found it was really easy, especially with this. This is 20 by 12 or 20 by 10, and it's got 2mm wall, so it's not the easiest thing to move, but I found with, like, especially with this smaller piece, I had a little bit extra on either end, and especially with this end, you can bend it quite a lot, and especially with this end, which is the end I ended up cutting off, you can put a little bit of purchase on here. You got a bit of leverage, I should say, sorry, and you can really bend it and get it to where you want it, and then crush it back and bend it back, and it stayed pretty, yeah, it stayed quite it stayed kind of where I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be bent, and then if I needed to like squish it a little bit to change it, it was pretty good. So I really I thought it was a fun project, and hopefully if anyone else wants to try it, that's what I did. So next up, let's clean all this up. I need to get the sand out of the big piece. I've already got the sand out of here, which came out relatively easy. Just took both of the tape pieces off, shook it out, and then bashed it a little bit, and it was all pretty good. So I'll clean this piece up, I'll clean that piece up, get some clamps on it to hold it in position, and we'll tack it up and see how it looks on the roof. Okay guys, hope you can hear me. Got this jigged up, clamped up. So let's chuck a tack on here, maybe a tack on the side here, move around to the other side, and then hopefully we can test it up. I've got it sitting up here, and I'll show you what it looks like. It's not too bad. I got it sitting pretty well. Like, this bit has a bit of play in it, like this is a little bit bent. So I have a plan for that, and that is this. So my plan is, this is some angle, some aluminium angle. It's 50 by 50. Should push into there quite nicely. It almost butts up against this edge, and that way I can then, well, one, it'll strengthen this whole piece. Oh, let me get out of here. One, it should strengthen this whole piece up and give this whole bit of roof some more rigidity, being an angle iron sitting on the wood, and then I can bolt through it and have it nice and tight. I'll bolt through on the inside where the roof is on the outside, so therefore I have a little bit of space. I also ran some tape around here to mark it. I measured it all up to try and get it as even as I can between each side, and then at the back here I have it bigger because this is where the hinge is going to be. I will get the same piece of angle iron for the back here, make it nice and strong, and then that way I can put some captive nuts on the back, and then that way I can bolt the hinges in. It will then strengthen this whole area, bring it up pretty square, and then when I bolt it into the hinges, it should look pretty good. I went with this, I'm just trying a few different hinges at the moment. I'm trying these little ones just because of this thickness here is a little bit thinner, which makes it sit a little bit closer to the roof. I'm gonna have to probably run two seals, like one on the outside and one on the inside, so as the roof like comes down and sits straight, it'll then seal against here, and then when it's and then it'll seal on the outside and then the inside. It should make it hopefully pretty watertight, but that's the plan at the moment. So I'm going to go to the shops, grab some more aluminium, try and get it to sit in here nicely, run some bolts through it, tighten it up, and then see if we can get this to hinge before we continue on any further. So off to the shops, and I grabbed this. So I have 30mm here, 25 here by 60. So 60 giving me quite a little bit of length from this edge to come in here and give it a nice big piece that it's going to be able to secure to. So therefore when I put the hinges on here, I can screw through the roof into the aluminium. Hopefully I'm planning to make some little cages that will sit under here with some captive nuts, and therefore I can screw it from the inside, or screw it from out here through here, pull this, and then clamp the whole thing together. And hopefully that should give me lots of strength back in the roof. And now I can't put that in there. It should give me what I need to, like, as you can see, like this whole roof springs, like, yes, of course this piece is springing too because it's smaller, but as you can see here, like, you have a big massive dip, and this piece is straight. I run a straight edge across it, and so you can see how much it moves. So my plan if I put that piece in there, I can have it all the way across, nice and deep in there. It could then have everything screwed to it, bolt through, and be nice and strong. And then the reason I went with 25 here, I did want 30, but I can only get 25. And my plan is, if it runs down to like here, and then what I can do is make a little trim piece. It will just be like, I guess, the inside of this little L, that'll then go all the way around and finish it off. So it'll have like a nice metal, little aluminium trim piece all the way around. Part of it will be strength, part of it will be little L piece, and hopefully that should work. So I'm going to quickly whip up some things, bring you across, and show you where I'm up to, because I need to work out how these hinges are going to work. So give me 2 secs and I'll set it up and I'll show you. And so there we are, that's it with the aluminium piece in. Then a little L piece that'll sit, like match up to here, and there might be a little seam that runs through here, but it shouldn't be too bad. And that way I can screw into here with the little L piece, which is a nice little trim piece, and then this will match up with everything and it'll be nice and lovely. Well, that's my plan anyway. But I laid down some tape. I drew some lines all the way around the inside after I got this gap here, all the way around right where I need it. This side is a little bit thinner than this side. My plan is to have, as the sliding door is over here, I'm going to have this piece lever up. That way, if the door's there and it's raining, hopefully the rain should go towards the window, off the side, rather than onto whoever's here, making it a little bit nicer if it's raining when the roof is up. So my plan now is have everything ready. I've drawn around it so I can put this back every time in the same spot. I now have a big aluminium piece. I'm going to set these hinges up. I made a few pieces. So my plan is these tiny little hinges. So I'm going to run maybe three, maybe 4 of these. But I was like, cool, I'll be able to get this, put this on here, and then have it hinge. But my issue is bolting it on here. As soon as I turn this hinge, this bottom edge on here just digs straight into the roof. I haven't tested it, I haven't screwed it in and tried to do it, but just testing it on the bench by having a little scrap piece, putting it on here and like screwing this down and then bending it, this piece hits the roof straight away. So my plan is to run it on this side. So therefore I will have a little gap, but what my plan is to have a little seal that'll run along the edge here, that will then, once the roof is down, it will seal the roof on the inside, as well as I'll probably put a little flap on the outside too. But to get it a little bit lower, so because of the way the hinge is, it's got the big metal piece, little pin through the middle, and as you can see, like the pin sits quite a ways into where the bend is. So my plan is that I have made a few of these. So this is just, I'm just trying to work this out first before I go crazy, but I made some little aluminium spacers. My plan is to put this on the outside here, like so, but imagine on the outside, screw the hinge through, which then will then give me the hinge. I'll be able to have the roof a little bit lower. I'll be able to have it, so with the spacer in there, I should be able to I'll have the roof like this far spaced off the roof. And then also with it on the inside of the hinge, it should bend and not touch anything. That's the plan. So I have some little self tappers here. I'm going to set it up, put the hinges on. Yeah, I'm going to screw through the roof, but I'm going to have to paint like this whole front piece anyway. So when I took the roof off, there's a little bit of paint that's been pulled off here, but there's a bunch of little screw holes and stuff that I'm going to have to clean up. So I'm not worried about putting a few extra holes. I'm going to try and mark it out exactly where I want it. But let me chuck a time lapse on. Let's get this all together and let's see if it works. Hey yo! Oh, that's good. That works well. And then when I have the middle one and the aluminium piece in there and it's not got big screws hanging out the bottom, that should work. The hard part is going to be getting the aluminium in here to mark these holes so that I can then bolt through, but it's good. I think I'll have to get just some like really small headed screws for this side as well, so that it doesn't foul on the bottom of here and I can run a seal. I'm also thinking I'll put a bit of rubber under here or under the hinges, and then that way I can seal that as well, so no water runs in any way it can possibly get in. I'll try and block it. But that is awesome. Look at that. That's the plan, to have it come up like that. And let me put you over here. Get the power cord out of the way. Or not. So that's the plan, is to be able to unclip it here, let it up, have it up like this. I'm thinking, this is a little bit for maybe next episode, but I'm thinking of running some gas struts, so that way I can have them lay down here and then pop it up, and then it should go psst, and then hold it. And then that way I'm thinking the gas strut should hold it up, and I don't have to then make another, like a stay or anything else. But then the other option is I could then have it push up, but then anyone in short won't be able to use it. So thinking the gas strut might be the way. And that way I can just put a little handle on here, be able to pull it down and close it. But I'm really happy with that. As we can tell over on this side, I need to bend this a little bit more and then probably put a bit more in here, because it's touching here, which is then throwing this corner off. But in reality, once I put the seal around it, and it's got the clamp on here and the aluminium under here, I think it's not really going to matter that this is a little bit off. But I think I would like to try and get this to sit a little bit nicer without it moving around too much. But I'm pretty happy with that. And there we go, everybody. I'm really happy. That's going to work really well. I have the aluminium that I can work out under here. It's going to be a little bit tricky to find out where the bolt holes go for this, and how to make this captive, and how not to have this, like these screw heads, too big. But we can work that out. It shouldn't be too bad. I think I'll have to give it a little bit more fettling. I think over here is a little bit high. Sorry, the frame's actually hitting the roof a little bit here, which is then poking this bit up a little bit. And then I can bend that down a little bit more. But it's all coming along. I think it's looking awesome. I'm also going to have to run some rubber underneath the hinges just to get it to seal to the roof, which then should give me a little bit more adjustability in a way, as in like it should lift it up here, which will then give this a little bit more clearance and stuff, and so on and so forth, all those good bits. So I think that's going to do. I think next episode we'll focus on the gas strut, putting some more framing in here so that we can then look at getting the roof on, and the gas strut. I have been looking at like boots and like canopies and stuff like that to like see like where you mount the strut to make it do what you need it to do, and like how long they need to be. It really doesn't have to be that strong, because it's really not going to be lifting much, but I'll work all that out and we'll check it out next episode. So please come along next time, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers.